Satoshi's point is the Schelling point of global money. We can now see, you can see, I can see, the rest of the world is beginning to see that in fact there is an inversion and there's a transformation. This network doesn't need me anymore. This network doesn't need anyone anymore. It's going to continue to grow, and no one can stop it. And so with that, with the help of all that information, I'm going to now share my Bitcoin prophecy. I think we're going to be $21 million in 21 years. It's a very special time in the network, maybe the one time in the history of the network where you look out 21 years and you see 21 million. Specifically, I expect 21 million coins at a $21 million price in 21 years, and people ask, how's the network going to grow? It's going to be growing at 21% in 21 years. The volatility is going to be 21. This is all, the only number you need to remember is the number 21. And what does that look like? Well, that looks like 28.5% from here. Not that different, slightly less than 29% ARR. But the path to 21 million, it's not going to be simple. It's going to be volatile. And so you're going to see a volatility, and it's going to damp over time, but you got to be prepared for the volatility, for the surges and the drawdowns, the good days, the bad days. This is Bitcoin's annualized return looking back a decade, looking forward 2 decades. And you can see that the network was growing faster when it's small. That's totally rational. It's now in the mid-50s. What do I expect? I expect it will continue to grow exponentially, but as it approaches hundreds of trillions of dollars, it will decelerate to the point where it's growing about 21% a year. Now, how does that compare to the S&P? It'll be growing faster. In 20 years, it's still going to be the best idea. It's still going to be the most lucrative capital asset a company can hold. It's still going to be durable, vital. There will not be a better investment in the year 2046. And I think it's very important to understand that Bitcoin's trending toward the performance of the best capital assets in the world, in the conventional world, which are like, Mag 7 digital monopolies mixed into an index. It's trending toward it, but it will never reach it. And it will never perform at that level because it's always going to be better. It's always going to be more useful. It's always going to be less risky. It's always going to have the counterparty risk of a company stripped away. There's never going to be a CEO to subpoena. There's never going to be a labor force. There's never going to be the challenge of a supply chain. It's never going to have a tariff on it. It's going to be pure digital energy, pure economic energy. By then, it will be moving at the speed of light on layer 2s, on layer 3s. It'll be moving 10 million times a second. It'll be trading between billions and billions of nodes and billions of other nodes. There's going to be nothing else to compete with it. It will be the most valuable thing, performing the best. You're not going to want to sell it in 21 years. You're just going to wish that you had acquired more of it. And here's the volatility. Looking back, volatility. Okay, it's 80, 90 vol, 100 vol. Today, it's the mid-50s, the mid-40s. What do I expect? Well, this is kind of very straightforward. The volatility is going to also dampen as the asset class grows, as the structure matures. As the options markets come on, when the banks embrace Bitcoin and they'll give you a loan, the volatility will damp. when it's fully banked, when it's fully optioned, when the mainstream investors are invested in it, the volatility will damp. But the volatility of the S&P is the VIX, it's 16. Bitcoin's going to be 21. Bitcoin's always going to be more volatile because it's more useful, because it's more pure, right? And because it's more leverageable, because you'll have more capabilities and you'll be able to do more with it everywhere in the world. It will be raw economic energy, and that's okay. Volatility is vitality. So now you have a future, $21 million, 21 ARR, 21 vol. This is the important part of the presentation. What will you do? First of all, you have a 21-year head start. You know something 99.8% of the capital in the world does not yet know, right? You know that this thing is unstoppable. You know that everybody needs it, and very few people understand it. That's the most valuable information in the world. If I told you Bitcoin was going to 21 million tomorrow, that's not useful. It's too late. I'm giving you something much more valuable. I'm giving you 21 years to leverage that information while everybody else is oblivious, while everybody else is afraid, while everybody else is distracted. You can do something. If you build the right machine, build a money-making machine for yourself. If you build the right machine and you plug it into the Bitcoin network, it will grow stronger every day. It will grow stronger every year. It will compound extraordinary wealth. Extraordinary wealth. And you will change your world. You have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change the destiny of everybody in your bloodline, to change the destiny of your community, everything you hold dear, to change the political course of human history. You can do it. You have the opportunity because you have the most valuable information in the world. And the question is, how are you going to do it? What is your Bitcoin strategy? You need a 21-year plan, right? If you have the vision, but you don't have a plan, you're just dreaming, right? You're not going to get there by talking about it. You need clarity. You need to know what's going to happen. You need courage. You need to be willing to take a risk. You need to put your own economic interest at risk. You're going to need to take a courageous step. And then you need to take action. Clarity, courage, action. People that understand Bitcoin buy Bitcoin. People that don't understand Bitcoin talk about Bitcoin. So what are you going to do? You're going to build a long-term plan based on disciplined work, responsible finance, sound engineering, and Bitcoin. So I'm going to lay out a few possible options for you here, and then you can decide what you want to do and how aggressively you want to do it. Let's start with this one. DCA, dollar cost averaging. What is the strategy? The strategy is work carefully for the next 21 years, buy 50,000 US dollars worth of Bitcoin each year, increase your savings by 5% a year, and then hold the Bitcoin. That's a strategy. What happens if you do that? Okay, well, you can see your investment's going to gradually increment by the 5%. Over the 21 years, you'll end up putting $2 million of cash into this investment. And what's your outcome? You're going to end up with 1.9 Bitcoin. It's going to be worth $40 million. Okay, $40 million. How does that compare to other strategies? Well, if you take the same money and you put it into the 60-40 portfolio, if you're a conventional investor, if you take the advice of your financial advisor, you will have $4 million. If you put it in the S&P index, don't diversify out of that, you're gonna have $6 million. If you actually invest in Bitcoin, but then every time Bitcoin doubles, you rebalance the portfolio. If you're responsible and you engage in that rebalancing, you'll have 15 million. If you let Bitcoin run by a factor of 10 and then you take money off the top and you rebalance that way, you'll have 28 million. And if you just buy the Bitcoin and don't think about the rest, you have 40. So the difference between conventional and Bitcoin is a factor of 10x. That's the DCA strategy. What's the next strategy? Leverage. Borrow $1 million up front. Pay less than 10% interest if you can. You're leveraging your future. You're going to tap your underutilized assets. If you got to sell your chairs, sell your chairs. Mortgage your house. Use capital intelligently. Ask your family for a loan. Approach your grandfather, your grandmother, your father, your sister, your uncle, your brother. Ask your friends next. Don't pay off your student loans. Definitely don't pay off your mortgage. Okay, what happens? Well, that's a single jolt of energy, one time. It's worth $190 million to you. Okay, okay, that's actually the payoff of courage, taking a risk. What happens if you combine the two together? You basically borrow the money up front, you DCA, and then every year you leverage 5% of your existing Bitcoin stack into Bitcoin again. This is what the outlook or the outcome looks like. You're going to end up with $260 million of US dollar value. You end up with approximately 14 Bitcoin, and you can see the recycling of the leverage is a very powerful technique here. What about a financial strategy? Let's just take that a little bit further. What if I just recycle 15% leverage? Not 5%, 15%. You can still survive an 80%, 70, 60% drawdown. What happens? This. You'll be up to $370 million. And then here's a business strategy. I form a company. I maintain 10% leverage. I issue 5% equity every year at a multiple of NAV of 2. 5% dilution a year on a business. Okay, what happens there? Well, you're going to generate $760 million of wealth by issuing equity and by staying a little bit levered. And so you can see it when you consider these comparisons, right? DCA is work hard, invest in Bitcoin. Leverage is use some financial engineering. The DCA plus leverage takes you much further. The financial strategy, of course, is almost 10 times the DCA. And then the business strategy, of course, is extraordinary, almost 20x.